Oh, right. Yes, you're right. It's there. I just didn't put the link on the announcement. You're right. I forgot about that. Thank you. Okay, try now, Vivian. It should be there on the class announcements under pre-class to-dos. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Hold on. Cool. Okay, welcome everybody. Today is going to be an action-packed day. I was really thinking of asking you, Brando, to come up again to do the thing, but I'll just stay up here and just rush through everything, if you don't mind. So announcements, yes, announcements. Okay, quizzes. I've changed the due date so that you can do the quizzes anytime. It's due on the last day of class at midnight. So Wednesday, last day of class at midnight. I've changed this so you can have unlimited attempts, and it'll keep the last attempt. Yes. Not the ones you've already done, just the ones remaining. It keeps the last attempts. It doesn't keep the highest attempt, it just keeps the last attempt. If you have an unlimited attempt, I'm making it just a little bit harder on you. Okay. All right, the next one is this. I've changed assignment 2 a little bit in terms of marking. So for example, what a bonus mark is now a required. What was a required is now a bonus for a couple of things. So the easiest way to tell is in the rubric here. So the big change is the ask the audience feature. That's now a required, not a bonus. And also the music, where you have to change the music, that is now a bonus, not a required. Okay, so that's the biggest change. And you have to create the 50-50 lifeline. That is required as well. I do want to officially announce also about the presentation. If I didn't mention it already, under assignments for the presentation, it's worth 10%. You can have groups up to 4 people. You'll give a 15 to 20-minute presentation on your topic. If I missed you and you don't see your name here in the schedule, please email me. I may have forgotten or maybe lost my emails. Oh yeah, a question, yeah. The order of presentation, yeah, week 3, this one, week 14, this one, yeah. You can, yeah, I mean, I'm open to switching order. Like I just randomly put people here. Like, yeah, if you want to switch order, like you want week 14, no problem. Okay, okay. All right, and the last announcement is this. This assignment, if you recall last year, there was the college strike. So I never actually gave this assignment. So this is new for me and this is new for you. So I'm kind of like trying to go one step ahead of you and then teach it next day. So there might be things that I've said. For example, in assignment 2, I said, use the view key press to detect what key you're pressing. And then I yesterday figured out, oh, it didn't work like I thought it would. So I'll have to use the traditional JavaScript way. So that's why I've made some changes as well in the rubric. Okay, so let's start with Vue. Any questions or comments so far? Okay, so what we'll do today is We'll do a little bit of more view stuff. Specifically, we're going to learn about components. Components are huge. I am not asking you for the assignment to use components. You can if you want to, but this is the way to go when you're dealing with developing larger applications in Vue. In fact, if you want to build the large applications that React does, you don't even use the script tag that we use. We use the Vue CLI command terminal prompt. But again, we're starting with baby steps, and we don't want to get too far. But we will touch upon the Vue CLI in a future class. We're going to learn about the watch method in Vue, and yep, sure, no problem. And then VHTML and VIFs. We're going to learn about that as well. We're going to touch on the second hour. We're going to quickly touch upon 3 things quickly. So regular expressions, speech recognition API, and the webcam. Now, the webcam, I don't ask you for the webcam, not in the assignment, not necessarily. If you want to, that's great. But the reason I put that there is because for next class, you'll need to know it for WebRTC. Okay, so this will be your in-class exercise 9. Follow along. So if you don't have my slides, get my slides on Blackboard announcements under pre-class to-dos. And then that way you can get the link on CodePen here. And then just fork it and then submit your CodePen in Blackboard and you're good to go. Yeah. Let me back for a second. Where did my there it is. Wonderful. Okay, so here is the form that you should see. It's, as you can see from the HTML, it's a form that has a label and an input. There's no view on it yet. However, I did give you an app, an ID of app there that you can hook onto. There's some CSS, blah, blah, blah. And there's for the JavaScript, I've given you just 2 variables, and we'll deal with that in our Vue app. So we're starting from scratch. Oh, question. Yeah, great question. Remember back in week whatever, where I talked about how Babel is a tool that makes your new JavaScript. See, this is using destructuring, which is new, and it turns it into the old one, right? So let me refresh this again, so you'll see some examples. So here they're putting dot map and arrow functions, right? Arrow functions are new, but look, here's the old way of doing it in the old JavaScript. Here's destructuring, new way, old way is this way, right? So the Babel is a tool so that your modern ES6 plus code can work on browsers like IE, right? If you need to. So the fact that you see Babel here, that is actually a tool that you can use, that CodePen allows you to use, which means that if I wanted to see the old style code for this, I would click on this arrow, and then I'd see maybe view compile JS, and then if I click on that, boop, now it's using, look, it's using var, right? Because that's the old style JavaScript, right? But if I take that off, I'm back to the new. Yeah, it's kind of neat. Okay, let me zoom in more just in case. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, starting from scratch, we're going to create a Vue app. And the beautiful thing about Vue is, wherever you land, whatever job you're at, you could start using Vue in just a small part of your web page. It doesn't have to be the whole web page. It could just be a small part, and you can start from there. In fact, that's what a lot of big companies are doing when they're trying to switch from Angular to Vue, for example. They just start a little bit at a time. Okay, so to start it off, now last week I said new Vue like that. And then I said in my little Lab 8 video over the weekend, I said, well, might as well just put a const app here just so that VS Code doesn't complain. And then the first thing you need is the EL property, which refers to the element, right? So what element are we going to hook onto? I've provided you over here, as you can see, the HTML. I have div with an ID of app. So we're going to hook onto the app. And the reason why I strategically chose that div over another element is because that div encapsulates the whole form here. So we'll just say in quotes, hashtag app, right? So that means Vue now has access to everything inside that div tag if we wish to use a v dash whatever, for example. Next thing typically is the data. So we'll enter data with brackets. And this will be, I will represent, I want to capture this. Whatever the person types in this input box, I want the variable new comment to represent that. Okay, so in the data, I'll just say new comment, which will start off as an empty string. Okay, so now let's actually hook that new comment up. So back to our HTML side. Let's go to our HTML side. Inside the input tag, let's put another attribute. And I believe I mentioned this last week, the v dash model. So we're doing a little bit of review as well. So let's say v dash model equals quotation marks. And what do you think goes in there? New comment. That's the variable that we just created. And just for kicks, just to test it out, let's just output that in this paragraph tag that we're creating right below it. And we'll just say, just like last week, we're going to just output new comment just to test it out. Okay, so this should automatically work. Let me just test it out here. If I type in something in the input box, you can see it right there, right? So you should be at this point where you can type something and it'll automatically show. Yes, we're all on the same boat? Yeah. Okay. So the goal is we want to add a comment. So think of this like, as some kind of Twitter feed or whatever, some kind of social thing where you can add comments to whatever this person posted. So that's what we're going to do. In the Java, let's go back into JavaScript for a second. So this is where we're going to use our array called comments. So I've given you an array of information here that has some people's comments already. So what we're going to do is we're going to display the text. We're just going to display the text of the comment above our input box so that we can see other people's comments before we type our own. So how do we do that? And again, last week I taught you the v4. So we're gonna do the v4. So first of all, in the data section for JavaScript, so inside your view, put a comma after your new comment. So you have a comment, and we're gonna add a new key value property. We're gonna call it comments. That makes sense. And then what is this gonna equal to? So comments colon comments. Right. So this word comments on the right-hand side refers to the pre-existing array above us. And this comments on the left-hand side refers to, okay, this is the variable that Vue recognizes. So we could always refer to this one called this.comments in the future if we wanted to. Okay. Because eventually what we're going to do is whatever we type in this input box, we're going to add it to our existing array of comments. And so eventually we're going to have to push whatever we typed into that array of comments. So we'll probably say something like this.comments.push, right? Something like that. Okay. So now that we basically have that array of information inside Vue called comments, now we can go back to our HTML and use a v4. Again, this is review. So maybe let's put this, where should we put this? Let's put this underneath the break tag and above the label tag. There. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a UL, an LI there. So we're putting an unordered list. And we're going to say v4. Okay, so this is kind of review. What do you think I should put in here? So the first one is whatever variable name you want. Remember last week we said item in items? Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to say comment in comments, right? So just to review, this word right here called comments, that refers now to our Vue data variable called comments. which is basically the array. And this word called comment within the v4, that's our own variable name, which we can then use within this list tag. And I believe I mentioned last week that if you're using a v4 just purely for performance reasons, you should also use a v key, which, you know, you won't visually see any changes, but just do that. Just you said it best, Brando. It basically indexes. So in case it, you know, changes, it's just faster performance. Okay, so here's the question. I want to display the text, and I now have access to this comment. So what do you think I can put in here? Remember, you can use the handlebar template. So yeah, that. No, well, I suppose you could do that, but I was thinking of like, okay, let's try this. I'm just going to say comment by itself and watch the output. Okay, so what's the problem? The problem is it's displaying the object solution. Yeah, dot text. So let's say comment dot text, right? And the reason I can say dot text again is because in JavaScript, right? Yeah, you get it now, right? Because each comment, think of this, each comment represents one object in the array. And if I just want the value of looks great Julianne, I just have to look at this text and say dot text, right? Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like your template literals, except yes, you're perfectly right. Perfectly right. Remember in JavaScript where you learned this, where you have the backticks, and then if you wanted to use a variable, you had the $, you know, something like that. Remember that? You're absolutely right. This, you can think of this as exactly like this. However, the only key difference, which is why it's beautiful, is that here we had to use this in the JavaScript side. You could not say this in the HTML side, in your HTML page. However, here, you can. Yeah, within this curly brackets, you can put any JavaScript like before. With yeah, you could. Okay, great. So now that we've displayed the existing comments already on here, let's try to make this input box work. So again, we probably want to push the new comment, but first let's make it do something upon entering something. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it react every time we press enter inside the input box. So whatever we type, blah 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 blah. As soon as I press enter, I want it to react. I want it to do something. So how do you do that? Here's the answer. So this is something new. So inside the input tag itself, okay, inside the input tag, we're going to put in a new thing called key up dot and enter equals, and then we're going to put in something there in a second. Let me explain this. So this @ in view represents like events, like, you know, you could have click events, you could have in this case the key up events. This @ in view is just shorthand for v-on:. But I'm teaching you right away just to use the @ for event handlers, because there's a lot of v- whatever that I tend to get lost in the v-. It's like, what do I use again? So I just use the @ for event listeners. Key up, that represents within view, you know, when you're pressing a key, similar to what we kind of learned with key press detection last time. And then dot enter, here is where you specify which key that you're looking for. So we're saying whenever the user presses the enter key, then run this function, name whatever's in the quotation. So let's put in a function called submit comment, which we have yet to create. All right, so this is now that you've entered this, now let's go ahead into the JavaScript side of things and enter that submit comment function. So here's a review. Now that I want to create a function in view, how do I do that right now? Yes, Jin. Method. So I'll put a comma after the last bracket for data. I type in methods, colon, squiggly bracket. And so within the methods, I can type a whole bunch of functions. So let's type in our, let's type in our submit comment function. We can just write that like that. Again, as a review, in view, this is just the shorthand way, submit comment parens. The longhand way is submit comment colon function parens, and then that's, so I could have said it that way, same thing. Okay, so let's just, let's see if it works. Let's say console.log, you clicked, or you entered, you just say entered, whatever. Okay, let's save that. Let's see the console, my console, there. All right, so here we go, blah, blah, blah. I typed in something in the input box. I'm about to click enter, and now I see the console, which means I now have a hook to do whatever I want, right? So what do we want to do? Let's put a comment here. We want to push our new comment into our existing array of comments. So that's what we want to do. How are we going to do that? Well, we could say this. We want to push. And so here's our comments array in view under the data. That is an array. How do you push things in an array? You say dot push. But first, how do you refer to this variable in data? You have to say this dot comments. Okay, now I have access to that. Dot push. Question, what do you think goes in here? What do you think should go in here? Say it again. Submit comment. Let's here. I'll give you a hint, Matt. Here, remember this one here? So we called it new comment, which in the JavaScript side of things, that new comment now is here. So whatever we type in this input box, because of the V- model, it now appears here. So I have access to the text here. So you might think now this is what I did last night when I did this, and it was a mistake. And you might think it's this. And normally it would be right if we are if we were dealing an array of strings. Yes, you would be right if you said this dot new comment. But because we're dealing with an array of objects, it doesn't quite work. Let's see what happens. So I type in something, enter, nothing. You know, you see some effect, but nothing is appearing. So the problem is we're not dealing with an array of strings where you can simply push a text. We're dealing with an array of objects where you have to push in another object with the same structure that has a text, that has an author, that has an author image. Do you understand the problem? Does that make sense? Right? So the solution is to push not just the text, but to push a brand new object like this. Whoops. I have to push a brand new object like this where the text is new comment, where the author is, you know, me, and the author image will be my GitHub thing listed here, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push a new object in the array, not just the text. That's the problem. So how do you think we can solve that? So we do want to push something. We want to push a new object. How do I do that? So now that I know what to do, how do I do that? You do this. So push, remember, dot push can push in anything. You could push in, you know, text. You can push in numbers. You can push in Boolean. You can push in objects, right? So let's create an empty object for now. Push. And we're going to have the same structure as our other ones. So our other ones had text first, then they had author next, then they had author image next. Those are the exact property names. So that's what we're doing. So now, what do you think belongs in text? Matt. What do you think belongs in text? Yeah, this dot new comment. Now we can, that belongs there. Author, if you look at our texts, author just wants a string. I'm just going to put in my GitHub code name, whatever. And then the image wants some kind of image, and I've given you that image up top. So that's where this the very first line of the JavaScript section, that's where this comes in. So I said const new comment image, and it equals me. This is my URL for my GitHub. Put in you, okay? Unless you want to see my face. All right, so I'm going to say author image new. What was it again? Shoot, new comment image, right? Let's see if that works. Okay, so I'm going to say hello world. If I can spell hello world, I'm going to hit enter. Let's see if it displays my hello world. Enter, and it does. Cool. We just created a fancy, not even a fancy, we just created a simple to-do list, basically. Okay, here's a nitpicky thing that I'm noticing now. Notice how when I entered my hello world, it's still there in the input box. Question, I want it to be cleared after I hit enter. Solution, what do I do? Matt. Joel. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna say after my pushing here, again, realize that our new comment, again, because of this v dash model, new comment. So this, by saying v dash model new comment, this is automatically hooked up to our data new comment, which means this input box text essentially is whatever appears here, right? So if I just say, after I pushed everything, if I just say this dot new comment equals empty string, that should do it, right? So let's try it again. I'm going to say hello world. If I can type, enter, there. It cleared the input box. Does that make sense? Okay. That's still within the function. Yeah, so I'm still within the submit comment function right here. Let me put a comment right here. Clear input box. How after refreshing, keep it there? Oh, okay. I guess you could use local storage like last time. Yeah, yeah. We're not going to use local storage right now, but yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any questions before we move on to a different view topic called components? Any questions so far? Yeah, Jen. Yours is not working? Okay, tell you what, I'm going to save this on my code pen. Boop. There, I saved it. Oh, Andrew figured it out? Awesome, okay. Okay, so what we're going to do, oh, yeah, question, Rakil. This. Oh, remember how I said back, if you go to api.github.com/users/your code name, if you just go there, it gives you all the JSON data of your GitHub. Then just look at this one, avatar URL, and that's it, right? Remember that from the assignment? Yeah. Question, yeah. Oh shoot, yeah. You know what? Hold on. What did I do? What did I do? So it's not showing the image for you right now, or? Oh, okay. That's where I'm about to touch upon that now. Yeah. Okay. So here's the new view topic. It's called components. So notice how in my array of comments, I have like, the text and the author image. Let's go ahead and display that. But we're going to use something called components. Components is a very popular concept within React, within Vue, within even Angular. And it's all the rage nowadays. Component. You can have components within components within components, especially within larger apps. So we're going to do a very simple thing. So here's what we're going to do. Inside your HTML section, let's just delete this this handlebar expression with the comment.text in it. Just delete that for a second, okay? Because what we're eventually going to do is we're going to create a component. And when I say component, think, oh, you're going to give me a bunch of markup, HTML markup, that's going to substitute itself right there. So I can have a bunch of markup, like, you know, that displays the image, that displays author, displays text, all that markup encapsulated in one div tag, for example. Put that, name it, and then slap it on this list comment right here. So it'll display everything. Okay. So I also want to say that within Vue, there's multiple ways to create components. I think the typical way for larger applications is within the Vue CLI, which we're going to just briefly touch upon in one class. But for now, within CodePen, within this HTML view within CodePen, we're going to do it another way. So underneath, just scroll down. So in your HTML section, underneath pretty much everything, all your markup, we're going to type in a script tag right here. And here's something you may have not learned about. We're going to say this. So within the first script tag, you're going to say type equals, quotes. I'm going to say this, text / x hyphen template. And then after that, we're going to say, we're going to give it an ID. So ID equals, and in here you can give it any name you want. I'm going to name mine comment template. Okay, so this ID will become important because we're going to refer to that within Vue in a second. So you have to have an ID there. So here, within the script tags, we're going to type in some markup. First of all, it's important to encapsulate it with one tag. So I'm going to type in list, right? So this list will replace our list. So the first element within the list tag will have image. The second one, I'll just briefly type in the other one. So you'll have a small tag and you'll have a p tag. So the image will be the actual, JPEG. The small will be the author. The p will be the text. Okay, so how do we hook up the different things? Within, let me do the easy ones first. So within the p tag, we're going to type in the handlebar mustache templates. We're going to say comment.text, which is what we're familiar with from before. So that's where comment.text goes. Within the small text, what do you think? This will be the author. So what do you think this will be? Awesome. Thanks. Comment.author. By the way, please put a class name right here for the p tag. Put a class equals post comment, so it looks good. For this image one, put a class of post-img, so that looks good. Then, so the question is, okay, how do we get the image into this image tag? And the answer is : source equals, quote. And this will refer to our comment.author image. By the way, this colon, we've used colon multiple times already. This is just a shorthand in Vue for this, v-bind colon. However, because v-bind is used so often, the shorthand is just colon. Just like the shorthand for at, or the shorthand for v-on is at. Those two are the most used. So at and colon. Okay, now we've created the component. It's still not working because Vue has no way of knowing that you've created a component on the HTML side here. So we have to let Vue know about it. So here's how to do it. Within the JavaScript section, place this code above your new view. So wherever you have your new view, you're going to place this line of code above it. So it has to be placed above your view instantiation. You're going to say this, view.component, quote, quote, then comma, and then parameters. Okay. So within the first argument there, or parameter, we're going to put the name of that ID tag that I told you about. Oh, sorry, no, not yet. My bad. Delete, backspace. Okay. Here, for the first one, you're going to name it. You're going to name it whatever you want to name it. By convention, you capitalize the first letter of whatever you're about to say. You don't have to do this, but convention just, it's better to just stick with the convention. So you just capitalize the first letter as well as the other words that are there. What's going to happen is View will look at this name, and it'll automatically, in the HTML, it'll automatically translate it to this, app-comment. It'll automatically do that. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so inside the second parameter there, inside the object, so press enter to make some space. We're going to enter template. So that is predefined keyword there. And here is where we named our ID tag, our component. So what is the name that we said back in our HTML section? It was this, ID equals comment template. So just like how we have, just like here when we said EL is looking for our hashtag app, here for our component, for our template, it's going to look for our hashtag comment template, because that's what we named it. Now, so Vue knows about it. The only problem is when we implement this guy here, our component itself, still is not getting the actual object called comment. Okay, we said comment.author, comment.text, comment.author_image, but we have to pass in that object into this component. How do you do that? Here's how you do that. So in our JavaScript, underneath, so put a comma after our template stuff. Underneath that, you're going to have a new keyword called props. Whenever you hear React developers talking about props, now you know what it is. Props is an array of the variables that we want to pass from parent to child. Okay. So the final step in this process, so basically by saying props comment, think of this like, you know how in JavaScript or in any language, coding language, you say function, blah, 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 parameter, and inside the parameter you have, x, and then your code. Think of this x as this. This is the way the component receives information into itself. Okay. Final step in this process is back to the HTML side. Remember how I said if you scroll up to your original unordered list tag and I asked you to delete that handlebar stuff? Final step in this process is this. So inside the list tag, we're going to add another attribute after the key one. Actually, the order doesn't matter as long as the attribute is there. And we're going to say this, is equals, quote, quote. So this keyword is you're about to tell Vue what component to use. And so what did we name the component? If I look here, back here, remember how I said view.component is this name, app.component, and remember how I said Vue will automatically translate that to app-whatever, app-whatever. So that's what we're going to use here for is. So is will be -- comment. So view automatically translates based on the capitalization. And then finally, we're going to say this. We're going to say to actually pass the comment object, we're going to say this, colon, which is like the vbind, colon comment equals. So remember, so this is how the component actually receives the object. It's through this one, colon comment equals. And what is this going to be? This is going to be comment. Because this word comment, again, comes from this variable name that you set in v4. So think about it this way. Here's another way that I think about it. The whole key to this v4 line starts with this variable name, comments, which refers to our array back in the data. And then as soon as you give it a variable name, whatever you say here, that means you can use that word anywhere in the list tag, which we are right here. So that text or that object, we're going to pass through using this colon comment, which means now that the component sees it as well. That's the flow. That's the flow. Okay. So let's see what happens. Oh, as you can see on the right-hand side, there's a result. You can see the pictures. You can see the author. You can see the text. And if I were to add hello world to me, it should give my own stuff. There it is. Not working? I shall save this right now. Save. There. You can fork it and check it out. Hey, Matt. Hop to the HTML section. Yeah, right here, I guess. Oh, script part, I guess. Okay. Here? Yeah. Work diagonally? Yeah. I'm sure it's just like a typo, maybe a missed tag somewhere. Yeah. Keep in mind, I just saved it, so if you go back to my code pen, you should see the correct code. Brendo. Yeah. Yeah, the main purpose of components, like think of this. The component encapsulates all the hard parts that you really don't want to see and don't care about. Like you just pass the component, here's my object, you deal with it. Rather than letting the main view application deal with it, which will be a lot of code, you just let the component deal with it. Right? So especially in larger applications, when you have a lot of things going on, you create different components within different components, and they'll all react based on what's passed to them. But the advantage of that is it's all each component is encapsulated, which means it's easier to debug, right? Because it's all just encapsulated, and it's easier to modify. It's easier to maintain over time. Whereas if you had one big monolithic view, if it's especially a large application, that's hard to debug and maintain, right? Cool. Okay, let's keep on going. We're almost there at the end here. No, we're not. Okay. So here is another thing. Again, you don't have to use components for assignment 2. I'm just letting you know that it is a very popular concept to use when creating larger apps. And when we get into the VCLI, you'll see why it's very important as well. Okay. The next thing, which is new for you, is something called watch. So check this out. I'm going to show you a very, very cool thing. Let's try this. In our JavaScript section, let's suppose I want to watch for this comments array. I want to do something whenever comments is changed, right? So comments is an array of different things. I want some way where if comments gets pushed, and so it's a different array now, or even if it's removed, if there's any change at all to comments, I want to do something. Here's how to do that. And this you could use in assignment 2, especially for your different levels. So I'm going to create a new, just like how we have, actually, you know what? Let me just, so I just minified this. Okay, so just like we have EL, just like we have data, just like we have methods, we can have something called watch. So comma, watch. And here's the cool thing. What is, if I look at our data, what is the variable name of our array? It's called what? Comments. So in watch, I just have to say comments parens function block. So this function will run anytime my comments array changes. Check it out. I'll just say console log changed here. So let me get my console open, clear that junk. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to type in something here, hello world. And as soon as I click enter, that means a new object has been entered into my comments array, which means my comments array has changed. And because it's changed, whatever I put in my watch comments should run. Here we go. Enter. There. This is a beautiful concept in Vue. React has similar things. Think about it. You don't have to say, you don't have to constantly check if, for example, let's take assignment 2. You don't have to constantly check if level is now equal to 2, then do something. You just have to say within your assignment 2, watch index. And as soon as the index changes, then change your sound, background music, change your question, change, So this is a beautiful way to hook into something that changes. Again, keeping your code very, very short. There's not a lot of infrastructure you have to put in place. It's all there. I'm going to show you something is called vif. So this is something new, and it's very simple. And I tend to use this, and you could use this for your assignment 2 as well. So let's say, let's say this. What I want to do is I'm not going to show this web page at all until a variable in my view is true. Okay, so let's call that variable here in our data. We'll call it is showing. Okay. And then the cool thing is you can use vif as well as a template tag. You don't have to use a template tag, but I tend to use a template tag. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for maybe, yeah, okay, here. Maybe I'm going to surround everything. But just below my div ID of app, I'm going to insert a new markup called template. And then inside that, I'm going to say vif is showing. Then my last bottom ending tag will be at the very, very bottom, just below the closing div tag for that ID app. So basically, it's one tag below your div ID of app. Yeah, so you're encapsulating everything except the div ID of app. So now, if I change this variable to false, so if this is now false, let me just manually change it to false. There, it's gone, right? You don't see the web page. So in your assignment too, you could say something like, at the very beginning, don't show the question and answers yet based on a variable called is showing. And then as soon as you fetch your JSON data, and that's all good, then you can change your variable to is showing is true, which will then show the questions. Or maybe not even that. as soon as the player clicks on the play button, then change it to is showing as true. Yeah, that's better. Right? Oh, question, hey, John. The template tag is just a generic thing. Let me see, Vue.js template. By default, the template turns itself into a span tag if you don't say specific, if you don't explicitly say it. I think last week, what did last week? I think I said last week. And when the exercise that Brando did, here it is. We used, where's our template tag? Did we use a template tag? No, we didn't use it. Oh yeah, we used it, never mind. Yeah, by default, I think the template tag turns into a span tag. Where's my template? Oh. What template? I just think of it as a way just to encapsulate whatever's inside it, because maybe you don't want to use a v-if inside this, for example, this li element, because maybe you want something above that to encapsulate the whole thing. I just think of it as just one of the, I suppose you could use a div. And I'm not sure if template has with it other properties that you can hook onto. It probably does. Similar to the transition group from last week where you can say something. I don't know. I just think of it as a just encapsulate everything. And I'm sure there's deeper and better reasons than the one I just gave, but I just use it just to encapsulate everything. Actually, let's take a look at if I right click this and say, wait, hold on, say true for now, so it shows. If I right click this, curious, what does the template tag turn into? Here's the app. Ah, you don't even see it. Interesting, eh? There you go. Oh, it's not even the span. That was something else. Okay. But that means it kind of disappears on you. Anyways, okay. Yeah, so you could, in your assignment too, maybe when the user clicks on the play button, then you could show everything kind of thing. And if not, then, it'll say, it'll have press play to press play button to actually play or something. By the way, in Vue.js, you also have, not only do you have v-if here, but you also have v-else. So, and these two work together. And I think there was an else if as well. Yeah, look, check it out. There's an else and there's an else if as well. But here they're not using template tags. I mean, you could use v-if within a regular div tag if you wanted to, Josh. Okay. What else? What else? The last thing. Yes, now it's truly the last thing. I'm going to purposely go into my JavaScript section. And some of you have already encountered this little bug in your assignment 2 for Lab 8. I'm going to change this text to something that uses the HTML entities, those weird things. So, for example, if I say ampersand, quote, colon, or ampersand hashtag oath39 colon, and I'll do that again. Actually, I'll do that twice. So here is something that you may have run into. I know for you came across this. You tried to fix this with the replace as well. I saw that. So here is a quick and easy way to deal with it. These are HTML entity characters to represent the actual characters. So what you could do is something called v-html. So instead of using your handlebar templates to output your variables, you can actually use v-html. So here, within our paragraph where we say comment.text, I want you to delete this entirely, and we're going to put comment.text elsewhere. Here's where we're going to put it. So inside the P attribute, you could say this, v-html equals, quote, quote, and now you can paste in your comment.text. Not paste, just type it in. You don't want the handlebars in there. But look at what happens. See? Look at my text. It's now no longer the weird characters. So this is one and quick, and this is an easy way to just handle the thing. Another way to handle it is to use perhaps Lodash, but I think Joel, you encountered that for some reason Lodash did work for most of them except for this 0391, right? And you did it right, like because Lodash only handles 039, but it doesn't handle 39, or is it the other way around? Okay, so it doesn't. So the JSON API, it should have given you the 39, but it doesn't. It gives you the 039. And then so what you tried to do is you try to use the regular expression replace, which is the right idea, and that should have worked. I didn't look at your code close enough to see why it didn't at that time, but yeah, you had the right idea. So that is in-class exercise 9. You can hand that in, show your participation, easy 2 marks. I'll save it. So you got that too. Easiest 2 marks ever. All right. So 12 o'clock. Next hour, we're not going to talk about Vue. We're just going to talk about regular JavaScript. We're going to talk about regular expressions. We're going to talk about speech recognition API, and we're talking about how to use the webcam. Next hour. Okay? 10-minute break? Cool. Where's my time? All right. That was pretty cool. For sure. Yeah, just that might oh, I see. So just now you sent maybe on that person using the wrong ones. Yeah. It's like the word. Oh, you're talking about. It's just a neat way. You don't pretend you don't want to see it. That's all it is. Yeah. Yeah. What did I say? Oh, you have given the marks. I just asked you some. Oh, okay. So think to what I can do. So when I click over here, it's giving you some. Giving you what?
So when I want to press this one, so this would stop and this would.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go over that today. Sounds on how to pause. You basically say music dot pause parentheses. So you basically say like this. Let's pretend your variable name is like okay, cool. And you say music dot pause parentheses. Right? Because before you had music dot play. Well, you can also
Over there with play button. Already next variable.
Yeah. So for example, you press.
Actually, I have just given the source of the audio. Because it was, I don't know how to do the song.
Yeah, I didn't go over the sounds very well, so I'll do that today. Yeah.
Come on, man. Indian network style.
But it's good to see you having fun with it. Okay, good.
This is why you want to be. What season you want to? We can talk to this again.
Hey, Josh, what's up? How are you?
Not much, man. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Not much. What's that? Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we went to this paint night thing the other night, actually. Like, I took her out. I'll show you. It's really cool. You ever heard of that paint night?
Yeah, my coworker, she did it once.
Oh,
And
yeah.
her kids couldn't believe that she painted it.
Yeah, like, this is what I painted.
That's awesome.
I suck at painting, so I was like,
No, that's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty good, right?
That's like something I paid for.
Yeah, they teach it in such a way, like, that anyone can do it, I think.
Yeah. You ever heard of Bob Ross?
Yeah, yeah. My coworker was going on about Bob Ross the other day, too.
I used to watch Bob Ross when I was a kid.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, oh, thanks for.
Yeah.
That's all I found.
Well, my coworker was just telling me, it's funny you mentioned that. He's like, apparently Bob Ross hated his fro, but because he became so iconic and his hair was so iconic, they wouldn't let him cut it. So.
I remember my friend at university, whenever he was writing his essays, he just put Bob Ross in the background. He just found it very soon.
Jeez, dude. Okay, I have some questions for you. Because I'm like,
Okay.
I'm at like crossroads.
Yeah.
I have like sports my projects in two different ways. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go.
Oh, okay. Is this not yet? Okay, come back.
I keep typing my word password. Yeah. So this is the way I wanted to do it, but I'm having difficulty with it. So basically, I was kind of separating some of the logic class, right? So many questions in here, basically initialize it. I was having an issue where I was getting a constant error. So I'll show you the first one, the that we did in class. Two. I made my so I get it works, like you don't have to count the UI, but I get this console error that's saying question undefined, which is refer to this, right? Which does eventually load. But the problem is it's not initialized properly.
Right, yeah, I get that all the time.
I was like, okay, well, I don't want that to happen. So I was like, I created this manager which has a question that I initialized it, and I created my UI after it initialized it. Right? Which works, but the problem is what I want to do is I wanted, for example, this question, I wanted to refer to management document, right? But the problem is it's not accurately reflecting the state. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like for this one, I can get the question to show up whatever. But we got that console here. Posting method levels is not defined on expected So do you know if it's possible to kind of do what I'm trying to do here? Like,
You don't want the errors to show.
well, what I want it to have a lot of the logic and logic stuff inside of this class that I'm specializing in beforehand. Right? If it's possible that you would recognize changes within this class, is there any way you can tell it something? Yeah.
I know there's DJs.
Yeah. I'm praying, so keep your fingers crossed. Yeah. That's we do get a part 2 within the year.
What is inside here?
Yeah. Just if you didn't say anything more. Oh, yeah. Well, I wanted that update. Yeah. It's not like that. It's in English and yeah. Because there was a cool show that I wanted to go watch, but it was all dub. And I just couldn't get past the fact that the language shot in wasn't English, so I bring the speaking some other language. But the concept of it was cool. There was something to do with when kids reach a certain age, they get put into like an institution. Yeah. And they get separate, their classes get like they're hired. There's a certain hierarchy, and they get filed with that hierarchy. I can't remember what it's called. Yes. Yeah, they live on an island or something. Do they live on an island? Oh, okay.
The Island with Peter McGregor.
That was good though. I didn't watch that. That was a good.
What you're talking about?
Here you go. See, that's why I couldn't. Why?
Like Peter McGregor?
Oh yeah.
Just to see.
So,
Oh, for the music thing?
yeah, just
Oh, okay.
to see if, I'd like to see it not work as well.
Actually, I have to start.
Oh, yeah, no
but
worries.
yeah,
Wait
well,
later,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
okay. Okay. So that was that. Okay. So let's start again. So this next hour, it's not view related specifically, but some of these things you'll have to use for your assignment. So the first thing we're going to explore is the speech recognition API. Let me just visit the MDN page for now. Notice it says here, this is an experimental technology, but it's been pretty stable, I think, for the past couple of years now. I've been using it. And so here on the left-hand side is basically the essential code you need to make this happen. Let me, if we go to the next slide, you're going to see a code pen. So this will eventually be your challenge, is if the user says D final answer, then do just like a window alert or something. Okay. So if you click on my code pen for a second, this is where you might need your earbuds in case your browser talks to you. And notice here, I have the code already running, and it's already picking up my microphone, and it's typing in everything that I'm saying. So try talking to your computer. Who said I love you? Yeah, your computer loves you. That's right. Okay, so let me just go over each line. Okay, so this is the basic infrastructure you need to make it run. So the first thing, this very first line where it says window.speech recognition equals window.speech recognition or this. So what this does is, and I know it's kind of weird, right? Like, why are you saying window.speech recognition equals window.speech recognition? So this is basically asking, what kind of browser are you using? Because if you are using a browser that does not have speech recognition, then use this instead, window.webkit speech recognition, because you most likely have that. because some browsers like Chrome versus Firefox, they use different engines. So they might have different things in there. So anyways, once this window.speech recognition is truly set to the browser's own version of speech recognition, then it instantiates it here. So this is what this next line does. Const recognition equals new speech recognition. Again, you can only say speech recognition because we've successfully, in the line above, identified which version of speech recognition you have. Okay. This one here, where it says recognition.interim results, you could experiment with this. You could say, try this. Okay, don't try this on your computer. Just watch mine for a second. I'm going to clear my console. I'm going to say true. Hello, how are you? You see my console there? See, notice how every time I'm speaking, it's picking up on every word and trying to determine what the word is. Okay, but if I say recognition.interim results equals false, it'll only type the sentence once I'm done talking. Yeah. So there's some intelligence going on here. It knows when you stop talking. It knows how to parse your speech. It knows when one sentence begins and when the sentence ends, and it gives you the results once it thinks it's parsed it correctly. Now, it's not perfect, right? You'll probably see some weird errors there based on your speech, but it's, for the most part, it's pretty cool. So notice here on the next line, recognition language, here's where we say we're using English, United States English. This next line here, so this block of code is we're adding an event listener, and we're listening for something called result. Okay, so think of this. Once it finishes parsing and analyzing your speech and it's ready to give out its interpretation of your sentence, then something called result happens, an event called result happens. And when that happens, you can now fetch the transcript. So what we're saying here is, once you've parsed my sentence, okay, and there's an event there, let's look at the transcript. So here, I'm just going through all the different objects and arrays just to get to the actual sentence that I said. And that's why you can see it on my console, because I said console log transcript. So now that variable transcript, you can do something with that. So within your assignment, if you say D final answer, something in your assignment, you could probably do something like this. You could say, and I always forget how to do this in JavaScript, so I have to go to MDN switch. You could say something like this, right? Get copy their switch code, go in here, boop. Oops, that's a lot. Let's get rid of this one. We could say something like switch transcript. If the case is the final answer, then do something. But watch what happens if I say the final answer a couple of times. The final answer. The final answer. Well, it's not perfect. So maybe for the switch case, I'll put in the correct answer. Maybe I'll put in the false answer that it might, and so either way I'm covered. I'll do it. So that's the way you could do it for your assignment too. All right. Questions? Funny? What was funny? Okay, let's try it. A final answer. B final answer. So we recognize B as B as well. So again, it's not perfect, but it's cool and fun to play with. That's the whole point, is play with it. C. C final answer. C final answer. C final answer. B. 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 No. So you may have other, you may have to account for possible mistakes that it takes and make it work. Okay. So that is, oh, let me just continue here. So what else here? So yeah, just for this page, I said, oh, by the way, notice here I'm saying essay.insert adjacent HTML. Notice I didn't actually say document.query selector for the essay. And the reason I can do that, and I didn't mention this in the first half of the class, but anytime in your HTML you say ID equals something, that ID is now captured. So you don't have to necessarily say document.query select. You just have to say essay dot, which is kind of neat. So that's why I'm saying essay dot. It's just a shorthand. And then I'm using this insert adjacent HTML. That's why you can see the different sentences here on my right-hand side. And then this line right here where it says recognition.add event listener end recognition start. What that line is saying is that, okay, once it finishes parsing, what should I do now? Answer, go back to this recognition.start function and run it. So what happens is it hears me, it interprets it, it ends. As soon as it ends, it's asking, what should I do now? Oh, I'll go back to the beginning, recognition start. So it's going to start hearing again for the next sentence. And then this line here is just to kick it off. Just start it, kick it off. Okay? So the challenge was make it so that if the user says D final answer, window alerts us D was chosen, right? So if I say D final answer or the final answer, or I don't know if it's ever going to do the smaller case final answer, I'll do an alert of, alert of D was chosen. Let's try that out. D final answer. So that is speech recognition. Any questions on that before we move on? Save, done, save it. Okay, next topic for this hour is regular expression. And this is where you might need this for your assignment because of that 039 bug thing. Okay, you don't necessarily have to open this in CodePen. You can just look and watch if you want. Okay, so we're going to specifically look at the replace. So MDN, let's look at the MDN doc. So you could take a string and you could say dot replace, and then within that dot replace, you can use something called a regular expression. So in this case, the regular expression begins with a slash, and inside that slash is whatever word you're looking for, along with some other options. And then so what replace does is it'll look for, in this case, it'll look for the word dog globally, which means anywhere in the sentence, it'll look for the word dog. I means case insensitive, so it doesn't matter if it's capital dog or not. It'll once it finds the word dog, which is here, there's the word dog. Here's another word dog. So it finds that. It'll replace it with the word ferret. So watch this. If I run it, there. Quick round fox jumped over the lazy ferret. If the ferret. So it replaced it. Okay. Now what I want to get into is a little bit is this whole idea of regular expressions, which is new. If you ever take a BA in computer science, there's a course called I don't know, state finite automaton, which is basically like regular expressions, except mathematically with diagrams. And it's a whole course. So it can be very tough. I failed it once or twice. Okay. All right. So here I have a sentence in my HTML. I just have an H1 tag. That's it. I've selected it. Okay. Here's a string, and I've just assigned that string to that H1. So that's why you can see the sentence. Now here's where it begins. So I'm saying const regex. Again, this could be any variable name. Is this, and it begins with a slash. It always begins with a slash. So inside here again is whatever you are looking for, character by character. Okay. And so here, notice how my original sentence was 17 foxes jumped over the lazy dog, and that's why you say 17. That's why the result is 17 foxes jumped over the lazy cat and my cat, because I said dot replace of that regex cat. Now check out what happens when we try changing this regex to different things. So I'm going to give you several examples of the different things of how you can use regex and what the result is. Okay. Again, this is just good to know. I don't think you'll need to know this as in depth for the assignment too, but it's just good to know. So I'm going to try taking out the word G here, which means, again, global. Gone. Let's see what happens. Aha. Now, notice it did not change my second occurrence of the word dog because the G was, which stands for global, was removed, right? So global, again, means anywhere in the sentence, replace it. Cool? Okay, let's take out the word, or the letter I. So if I take out the I and I change the small case d to maybe capital D. Oh no, I'm searching for a capital D dog, but notice it can't find it because it's case sensitive. I took out the I for insensitive, so that's why it didn't replace anything in my sentence. It's still the original sentence. So that's why if I say G along with I for insensitive, then it replaces it and it doesn't matter what I said here. Cool? Let's try taking away the D, so it's just OG. OG. So now it's looking for two letters, OG. If it finds two letters, it replaces it with cat. And that's why you see DCat here and DCat here. Let's try numbers. Now, again, the important thing to realize is my statement when I said character by character. Right now, it's searching exactly O followed by the letter G in sequence. For numbers, we could represent numbers like this. In square brackets, we could say 0 through 9. But notice what it did. It said cat. Why is that? Because I had the number 1 here, and I had the number 7 here. And so it's replacing number 1 with cat. It's replacing number 7 with cat. That's why I have cat. So this actually represents one character. Remember what I said, character by character. So if I wanted to say capture all the 2-digit characters, I could say maybe something like this. I could say 0909. And there, that kind of does what I kind of wanted to do. You could say that, okay? Or another thing is if you're just looking for any letter, you could say A-Z. And it replaces all your letters with cat. Okay, again, this represents one character though, so it's character by character. Another thing that you may want to know is similar to CSS, where you can select for things attributes that begin with or end with something. You also have the same thing with regular expressions. You could say, for example, begins with, so that's the caret, begins with 09. So it's looking for the very beginning of your sentence. If your beginning sentence does not have a number, it ignores it. If it does, then it does what it's supposed to do. So here you can see the first 17 gets changed, but the second 17 doesn't. Because I use this caret, which means looking at the beginning only. Similarly, if I say look at the end, so right now my original sentence is this, and notice my last thing is a number 1. So if I say in my regular expression 0 through 9 end $, there. So $, means only at the end. Look for this. So it ignores the other numbers because it only looks for at the end. And then the final thing I want to mention is this. You could have a question mark, which could mean 0 or 1 character, plus, which means 1 or more characters, star, which means 0 or more characters. So let's try this. So originally I had this. So if I said 0 to 9, that replaces my 17. But what if I said, okay, now that I've defined my single character as a single digit, what if happens if I say star? Is that what it's? No, plus. Let's try the plus first. Plus. Plus means, what does plus mean again? Plus means 1 or more character. So if I say plus, it does what it wants. So 17 is replaced because 1 is captured by this 0 to 9, and the plus captures the 7. Now this last one had only 1 digit, so it's captured. The 1 is captured by this, and since the plus means, what does the plus mean again? I keep on forgetting. Greater than or more than 1. Okay, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, this is where regular expressions can become very hard. If you look on Stack Overflow for search for Stack Overflow regular expressions how to, and then you'll see some of these. I don't know what they. Let's see some of the their examples. I just need an example of an irregular expression. My point is, it can be really crazy. This one. Where's the regular expression? That was it? No. Anyways, I should have looked at one for example, but it could be whatever is in here could be like super long and really crazy. That's why they have a university course on it. All right, so that's a quick intro to regular expressions. The only reason why I say that is for assignment number 2, for that 039 thing, you could search for something like this. You could say, search for ampersand hashtag 039 semicolon, right? So now that's captured, and replace it with the single quote. Oops, something like that. That should work. And what you could do also is, yeah, no, I'll just leave it at that. And I'll say it. So I just taught you v-HTML to try to get over that bug. But when it comes time to speaking, you don't want the browser to speak to you hashtag all39 semicolon whatever. And so you may need to create your own function that uses this dot replace. Okay. And that is regular expressions. Any questions on that so far? Okay. And the last concept for the hour, which we're making very good time, so that's good, is this one, how to use the webcam. So whenever you're using the webcam, microphone, or video, using something called get user media. And so it kind of looks like this, where you say navigator.mediadevices.getUserMedia. So I've given you the code here. So this is your starter code. This is basically all the code you really need to have in order to see yourself on the screen right now. And so if you go to the next slide, just like before, let me go through it line by line. Now, I did say here, in order to use that script, you have to have a video tag in your HTML. So go ahead and open my code pen, and you'll see your lovely face right there. So if you want to be creative, you could put a video tag in your assignment 2, as if you're center of the screen trying to answer the questions and you're sweating, right? But I'm not marking for that. But if you want to be creative, you can. So let me go through this line by line. So the first line, as you know, I'm looking for the video DOM element, and there it is. The second line here is that same line that we saw in the documentation in MDN's webpage. We said navigator.mediadevices.getUserMedia. And here inside the arguments, you can actually set what you want. So here I set video is true because I want the video, but here I said audio is false because I don't want to record, or for example, or I don't care about the audio. But you could reverse it, or you can do different things. All right, so once it sets this up here, you have a dot then, right? So that means it's using promises because it's using dot then. So once it's finished establishing and getting the webcam stuff, it puts that stream of bytes in this parameter that called local media stream, and we can console log that. But more importantly, we then assign that stream of bytes to this video.source object, and then you just play it, and that's it. Okay. By the way, this .source object is relatively new. It just, within the last year, that's a pretty new thing you can do. Before, it was some other convoluted way of doing this, which is going to be deprecated next month. Okay. So that is the webcam. And again, the only reason why I point to this is for next week, when we talk about WebRTC, it will use this navigator get user media. Okay. All right. I'm going to now I'm actually going to now continue from what I posted over the weekend. So I'm going to go back to my lab 8 that I did over the weekend. If you want to use my code that I did over the weekend, you could go to my GitHub, and it's right over comp2112 lab 8. So if you want to follow along with my code, you can. If you want to use your own template, that's cool too. So whatever you want to do. Okay, so you go ahead and clone that now, and I'm gonna start. So I'm gonna start from scratch. So I'll clone that right now. So there's the thingamabobber. I'm gonna go to my Visual Studio Code. Let's open up a new folder. Let's close up whatever I had before. Let me get my. And my goal for today is I'm hoping by the end of class that the majority of assignment 1 is done in terms of displaying it, in terms of clicking the right answer, in terms of music, in terms of speaking to you. And I think that's it. We'll see. So the basics is there. The infrastructure is there. So that next week we're ready to rock with the next thing. All right, so what do I want to do? I want to create a new, let's create a new folder. What do I want to do? New open folder on my desktop. Let's say new folder lab 9. Lab 9. Select that. Let's go to my command prompt. Let's say git clone my lab 8. I think I'm done, so let's see what I got. All right, so I got my index page. Let me just open it up to see what I have. My desktop lab 9 index. All right, so this is where I left off over the weekend. Okay, let me just refresh to see if I get a different fetch. Yep, I do. Great. Okay. And I want, what do I want? I want this, I believe. Okay, so let's start with this. So let me fix this weird character using the HTML. So that's the quick and easy way. So let's go into our code, our JavaScript app.js. No, I want the index. All right, so where is that question being displayed? Being displayed right there. Oh, yeah, thank you. I always forget. Okay. Now, before I do that, let me think about this for a second. Okay, let's try this. So instead of displaying the current queue.question right there, which contains within it the weird HTML entity quote, I'm going to try this. I don't know if it'll work. Let's see. v-html equals means I can get rid of this entirely. And then I could hopefully, if I put this in here, the question is, does that work? Now if I refresh the page, hopefully I'll just keep on refreshing until I get one of those, questions that has, there, it works. See, look. You no longer have the weird HTML entity characters. So that's working. What else did I want to do? This looks so different than what I wanted. Hold on. I'm reading something on my other screen, which I'm not. Where's the one I was looking at this morning? Oh. Okay. Hold on. I need my other one. Okay, this is what I wanted right here. So this is my notes from this morning, what I wanted to do for this class. Right, okay, this is what I wanted, fixes. Okay, I noticed something in the API that's a little bit of a mistake. Before in my video, I said, just get 15 questions, whatever. But I noticed there's one more option I should have done, and it was this. db.com. Under the API, originally I said just get 15 questions, whatever, it doesn't matter. But make sure for this select type that you choose multiple choice so that it has 4 options. Otherwise, you'll get like true, false, and I don't want that. Right? Category doesn't matter. I'll just choose computers because it makes sense in this class. And then generate the API URL. There you go. There's the URL. So use that. So I'm going to copy that URL instead. I'm going to put it in my app.js. So where's my API? There it is. So instead of fetching that old one, delete that, put in the new one. We're good to go. Works. There. Good. Refresh again. Perfect. Okay. Okay, what's the next thing I wanted to say? Oh, right, yeah. Reverse the levels. So right now, the levels are starting from 100 at the top to 1,000,000. But if you look at the game, it's actually the reverse. And there's a couple ways to do that. What we could do is we could say a dot reverse on our items. So here in our JavaScript file where I said under data items equals money. So keep in mind money was this array of all the different levels. So what if I just say money dot reverse? Will that work? Let's see, money dot reverse. Does that change anything? Let's refresh it. It does. Great. Okay. Next thing. This is just an aside. I think looking back at my video, I could have eliminated that whole possible answers thing and just used the shuffle array. Like, remember in my video, I said something like, by the way, when I did that video, it was like midnight at 1 a.m. That's why my voice is all like radio voice. But yeah, I could have just eliminated the possible answers here. I could have just directly said shuffled array 0, 1, 2, but I'll just leave it as is. Case I need to add something to that. I don't know. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to set up the mouse clicks so that if I click A, B, C, or D, it will respond appropriately. So the first thing is I have to add a click event for all the different answers. So in your HTML, so here I just have this for now. So button ID of A, B, C, D, whatever. I'm going to add the @click attribute equals quotes. I think we covered @click last week. And if you remember, inside the quotes is the name of the function that you created. So I'm going to say a function called isAnswerCorrect. Okay. And I'm going to do this for all the buttons. So what I should have done is I should have done my multiple cursor technique where I just get rid of that entirely. Undo, hit the Alt key. do multiple cursors, then do @click equals is answer correct. There, done. Okay, so I've added the click event handler, and it's going to run this function called is answer correct. So now we go back to our JavaScript code, and we need to create a new function within our method. So let me just minimize some of this stuff here. I don't want to see that. Again, the order of the methods doesn't matter. So I'm just going to put it right at the top so it's right there available to me. So I'm going to create is answer correct, parens, function block, comma. All right, so I'm going to just say in comments what I want to do, and then I'll code it later. So, and usually this is what I do if I really don't know what I'm doing. I have to still think about it deeply. I'll just write it in comments, right? So here I'll say, let's decide if answer is correct by looking at the button's data index. You know, remember how first half of the semester I talked about the data dash attribute? What if we inserted our own data dash attribute in our HTML, and we'll just refer to that index so that we can use that to our advantage, just like the email assignment number 1. So in words, I'll say, then we'll use that index to refer to inside our shuffled array, you know? So we can get the string of that shuffled array index. And then we can compare that string to our correct answer found in current queue. That's my pseudocode right there. That's my code in English. That's what I want to do. So how do you do it? Let's go. So originally, we have no data attributes. So let's just put one in. So in our HTML, just like in assignment 1 before, let's put in a data dash something so we can access it later for all the different buttons. So maybe after this one, and again, I'll use multiple cursors just so we can do this fast. A data dash index equals quote, quote, and then here I'll put in some number, but I'll have to make it refer to the different elements in our shuffled array. So 0 through 3. One way to do it, I guess. I mean, this is just one way to accomplish the problem. There's so many different ways. This is just one way, right? I'm just using the same technique that we used for assignment 1, where we're using data dash attributes. Then we'll refer to the array using that attribute. Okay, so then let's test this out. If I say right now console.log, oh, by the way, I forgot this. Inside your view, inside the is answer correct, you could have your event here. So you could call that whatever you want. You call it EVT, you could call it event, whatever. Let's console log event.target. What happens? So I just want to see what we get. Refresh, go to my console. I'm going to click on A, and I want to see what I get. Click. Aha. Notice in my console, I get that DOM element of button ID of A. I click on B, success, C, success, D. So I'm getting the right event.targets. And because I now use the data dash index in there, I can refer to that using data set, like assignment 1. Okay, so I could say something like this: event.target.dataset.index. That should give me the actual number inside that, right? Let's test that out. Refresh. Control. Click on A now. Instead of giving me the DOM element, it should give me just the data dash attribute value. And it does, 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's great because I can now say shuffled array data set index, and it'll give me the string value, and I can compare that string value to the correct answer, and that should work, right? Now, as I did this morning, this code complained. I want to say something like this: const index equals that, and then watch what happens if I save it. Oh, it didn't complain this time. Why not? Okay, if it doesn't complain, then I won't say it. All right, then we'll use. So let's go ahead and use that. We'll say I want to use that in my shuffled array. So I'm going to eventually say this. I'm going to say shuffled array, and I'm going to use that index that I just got, right? So that will give me the string. However, because this shuffled array is inside my data, I have to use the word this in front of that. Okay, so now I actually got the value. And let's assign that string into a different variable called selected answer. So const selected answer equals whatever I just clicked on shuffled array wise. Let's console log that just to see if I got it. Okay, so selected answer, refresh, get that out, click, Windows 2000, perfect, click, Windows 7, click, click, wonderful. By the way, let me keep on refreshing until I get a weird one in terms of characters, like one of those quote thing again. There, here. So notice here my answers have the weird HTML entity characters. Let's see what happens if I click. Click. So I still also get the weird character entities, but that's okay because when I compare the two of my selected answer versus the correct answer, both of them still have the weird characters and they'll equal each other out, so that's okay. All right. So let's compare that string to our correct answer found in current queue. Right. So I can say this: if my selected answer equals this dot shuffled array index, and sorry, my bad. I'm looking at the wrong line code. If selected answer equals what? And I'm using the wrong equals too, shoot. If selected answer equals, highlight the line of code I'm looking at here. What do you think I should put here? How do you compare it? Yeah, Brent. Yep. Perfect. All right, so let's say, just to test it out, we'll just say console log, you are right. Else console log, you lost. Let's just see if that logic works. Okay, so let's go back here. Oh, one thing I should do is, I don't know what the true answer necessarily is, and I don't want to, waste my time kind of guessing. So I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to put the correct answer in the console log each and every time the question appears so that I'll know what the right answer is, just so that I can develop and debug quickly. So let's put a console log that will spit out the right answer somewhere. Where should I put it? Is the answer? Let's put it. I think I'm going to put it. I'm going to put the first one in my get trivia questions. So here are my get trivia questions. After it fetches the API and shuffles it, I'm going to say console.log this.current queue correct answer, just to get me rolling for the first one, not for the rest of them, just for the first one, so that I can debug quickly. Okay, here we go. So refresh. Let's clear the page here. So the correct answer, as you can see here in my console, is year. So if I click on year, I should see the you win phrase. Click there. You are right. If I click on a wrong answer, click, you lost. Okay, so perfect. My logic is working. I can work with that. Okay, well, what time is it? 12:52. We'll keep on going for a few more minutes and then have a break. Okay, let me see here. What else did I say? Oh, right. So remember how I said earlier on that you could use the watch method to watch your index, and if your index changes, then do something. So we can do that. We can do that. Let's try that. So let's try this. In our JavaScript, let's put a new thing called watch. So maybe I'll put it right here. Doesn't matter again where you put it. Watch, block, comma. So the objective is I'm going to keep watching the index variable. And if view notices that index changes, then we'll do something. So what do I want to watch? I want to watch the index. Therefore, what's the name of this function? It's called index, parens, and then function block. So in here, I can put in whatever I want. So maybe I'll put in, console log current queue correct answer, as well as this.shuffle, because I want to shuffle the new answers. Because you may have noticed when I clicked on the correct answer, it changed the question, but it didn't change the answers, I think is what happened. So let's try it again. Let me refresh. Okay, so the correct answer is 1,000 here according to console. So I'm going to click on 1,000. So as soon as I click on 1,000, not only should the question change, but because I said this.shuffle, the answer should change. Click. Oh, okay, so I'm wrong. So it says you are right, but it didn't quite say, oh, you know what happened? We didn't even change the index. That's what happened. So let's change the index. So inside our is answer correct. So here, where I said console log you are right, we don't need that anymore. We know the logic works. So I'm just going to delete that. Let's change the index so that the watch will then work. So we'll say this.index plus equals 1. That will change the index. Therefore, our watch method should work. Let's try that. So save that. Go back here. Let's refresh. Okay. The right answer is for loops. So let's click on for loops right here. Let's see what happens. Click. Aha. The question changes and the answer changes. How beautiful that is that it watches the index change, and as soon as it does, then you can do whatever you want. Cool. So we got the basics running. If I keep on going, so the next answer is central processing unit. Let's try going through it all. Let's try to crash it. So that one, markup language, motherboard, video card, green, long-term support, liquid crystal display, FM7, Serbia, stack, graphics processing unit, Motorola something, and RAID 1. Oh, and injection. There, crashed. So why do you think it crashed? Because we ran out of elements in the array, so you have to take account of that. So we'll take a break. At least the infrastructure is working. We'll take a break for 10, 15. We'll take a 15-minute break and then go from there. Cool. This code is not anywhere to be found. Oh, sorry? Yeah. My HTML is right here. Where in particular? Okay.
By chance, also at the end of class, will you post this and like push it up to your GitHub? Just because right now
yeah.
my index isn't working.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to post this up to GitHub as soon as I'm done finishing today. Yeah. Yes.
Are you able to check?
Yeah. So show me where it is. What is it?
If you are you able to access the link from Blackboard?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Which one am I looking at?
Lobby.
Oh, it's something that you handed in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just to see so did you?
We did. Yeah. Now the problem is,
You said you're going to touch on that before classes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is your index work?
what's your name again? Yes, that's right.
Is it your index?
You want to hand in your lab aid? Okay, so
You downloaded it.
so you can do that. Just
see, I downloaded
look under my announcements. And just email me your works. Because here I have lab 8 video where I do lab 8. So you just follow along and hand it in.
Yeah.
Now originally it's hidden, so you can't see it. So you just have to email me because originally it was under weekly learning.
Yes, sir. No, it's not.
But it's not there because Blackboard
Yeah, no,
automatically. You have to email me now. So under week 8 it was there, but it's now hidden because it's past the due date. So just email me. Okay. If you console log something in there, console log. Oh, interesting. Let me see your webpage and then just let me see if there's some errors. When was the last time it was working? Undo until it works. No? They take that to Charlie and then
So, this would say you are correct. So,
any change in the HTML?
so every option is placed you want. Go back to it for a second.
But usually, like, if it's so weird like that, there must be. Oh, okay. So how it works are you? Yeah, just like everything. Then undo. Okay, I'll post that on GitHub.
What was wrong with it? I don't use it.
here. What? This reminds me. Oh, right, because you made speak just the question, just like the game show host, where the host says, question, is it, they also say, is it A, blah, 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 or is it B, blah, 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 is it C, there, or D, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what it says. Just like a game show. Yeah. I'm going on music stuff right after the break. So, stick with comp for now, I guess.
The first line here. Right here, go into this line. You type debugger. And then, yeah, and then I just save that. So now, next time you call this function, it's going to automatically start debugging right block. I follow it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This equals to no. This is returning this. So it's comparing this to this. Then it's comparing the question. Oh, no. Let's compare your answer to the question. So this is not a question. Returning text of the question. Okay, so basically what it did was basically comparing while loops to in any program like this was on my way to iterator, right? So this needs to be compared with wherever you start from our actual program.
Oh, I see what you're saying there. So if I ask questions.
Right, so when you're trying to do that, the answer is probably going to find that.
Well, so that's what I should do is that one.
Sure. Change that to dot text, and then you change your functions to return back to the question. Yeah. Try that. Yeah. you're assigning this document question, so you're getting it from the guy. That's literally correct. The stronger it is, we will return this question. Like literally return.
Let me just,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, you gotta put whoever that. You would sign the architect, it's actually. That's why you want this. I want Bruno. How about that? Yes, I'm. Yeah, you're. Yeah, just as long. I mean, if we are.
All right. So last class. Oh, any questions? Any questions or comments so far? Yes, Matt. What are you talking about? What is simulation theory? What is that? Oh, I have a good answer to that. In the history of philosophers, there's been 4 possibilities of reality. Number 1, as you said, everything's an illusion. Number 2, everything came from a first cause. Number 3, number 3, the universe existed eternally. And number 4, I forget what it was, but I think, what was the fourth one? What? Yeah. So I was listening to this one podcast that evaluated all of the options, and the simulated theory, no one logically it doesn't hold, because the fallacy is, what did he say? If you think everything is an illusion, then what becomes of the illusioner? Who's asking the question? Who's doubting? Who's the one that's doubting? It goes back to another philosopher named, who was the guy that said, Eureka, what was that phrase? Something about exist, therefore I am. What was that phrase, and who's that by? I think, therefore I am. Who's that by? Descartes. Yes. Okay. So the brilliance of that statement is this: he was on the same quest of what you were asking. He was trying to find out what ultimately was reality, and so he continually doubted every single thing that he could think of. However, so he doubted the world. However, there's only one. He discovered there's one thing he could not doubt. He discovered he could not doubt the doubter himself, because that, by logic, necessarily means that there is a thinker. If you doubt, you think. If you think you're a thinker, therefore I exist. There's your ultimate reality. Then you can ask the same question: what becomes of the questioner? Because it ultimately comes down to who's asking the question. Because if you are an illusion, then that erases that whole notion. But if you're doubting, that means there's a doubter. If there's a doubter, there's a thinker. If there's a thinker, something exists in reality. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing, I know last class I attempted to do the background music. I failed miserably. Here we go. We're going to try a second attempt on this. And I think I figured it out, and it does have to do with some kind of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to deal with the sounds. Now, if you have downloaded my GitHub, I've given you the sounds. If not, make sure you transfer the sounds folder into your current folder so you have the sounds. Again, you can find those sounds in Blackboard under assignment 2. Okay, so what we're going to do is set up sounds. Let's do the music here. Let's try this. Let's make it so that when the user initially opens up the game, they will hear the theme music playing in the background. This is not the round 1 music. This is just the theme music playing in the background. And I've given you that under theme.mp3. So for now, as soon as it loads up, I want it to play the music. Okay, so let me get that file here. So, I need to get all of those constant variables. So where did I put that? Put it. I wanted this. So I pasted all the different sounds. Let me comment out some of these other ones that I'll need. Okay. Oh, I just noticed something. So remember how I said I'm going to post my code to GitHub? I just realized I already did. So this is what I'm following, literally. Go to my GitHub, go to Um, actually, is it public? Public. I don't know if it's public. Oh, it's private. Okay. Let me change the settings to public then. Make this repository public. This is called game steps. Okay, so if you go to GitHub, I just made it public. Repositories. Here, under, oh, still private. Why is that? I said can you see this? Oh, shoot, I have to put in my password. Okay, let's try that again. Refresh. There it is. So you should now be able to see this, game steps. And the one I'm following on my other screen is this one here, app.js. So app.html and app.js is what I'm following. And that works. Okay, so if you're lost, you can follow that. All right, so for the music, I want to deal with the theme music. So that's the first thing I want to do is I want to play the theme music. That's why I have my const music theme equals new audio. So I want to play that. And I've kind of figured out this morning where I could do that. Music theme. So in my data, in my data, let's put another property called music. And this will represent the various rounds of music that we could have. All right. So initially, we'll say it's the music theme, right? Question, where did that music theme come from? It's exactly this variable name here, which we got from. Okay. Great. Next. Yeah, so all of this is above the instantiation. Or I say const everything new audio, that's above the instantiation. Then, what do I do next? In my get trivia method here, I kind of figured out, well, I mean, this get trivia, it uses the async await, therefore it's taking time, which is the time I probably need for the sounds to like finish loading, I guess. So if I just say this.music.play within the get trivia queue, which is using async await, I think it should work. Let's see. So if I refresh, there's audio. Won't allow it.
Google
It was working this morning though. How come it's not even saying? Oh shoot! How come that? I'm missing something. Hold on. So I said const music theme is that. So can I say? Oh wait, hold on. Do I have something in my mounted audio? I don't even have that. Music theme, yes. Why doesn't it play that? Over again around music. I need to press the button. Okay, I'll try it in Firefox. It was working this morning. I think I'm just missing a line of code. Yeah. Okay, so it works on Firefox, but it didn't work in here. Document first. That's weird. I've had that before. All right. Well, perhaps I'll continue with Firefox, but I really want to make this work because it was working like this morning. I'm not sure why it's not working now. So this.music, what is that? Undefined. Why is it undefined if I already said music theme there, which refers to this music theme, which refers to that, unless somehow my sounds doesn't have that file right there. So, okay, experiment. What if I just do this within here? I say, okay, fine. Equals right there. So what if I say theme 2.play? Right. That's working. So why I think it's exactly the same thing as what I had in my thing. This.music.play, it gets it, and somehow it's not even there, and I don't know why. This.music, music is right there. It's the music theme, which comes from here. All right, Firefox it is. I don't know why. Oops. Look at me. Next thing I wanted to do, let's control. One thing you can also do is control the volume. You could say music theme dot volume equals, and it's between 0 and it's between 1. So 1's the maximum. So if I say 0.1 and refresh, there, it's there, but it's softer. Next, let's make it so that we'll use the VF and template so that when the user presses the play button, then it'll display all the questions and answers. So we're going to use that same technique of template in VF. All right, so we're going to hide the majority of our stuff at the beginning. So in the HTML side, I'm going to hide this. So HTML, I'm going to look for that main class. So here's the div ID of main, which represents the pretty much everything of that page. So I'm going to put a template tag above that. Nope. And I'm going to put a vif equals is playing kind of thing. So I'll put that last template tag at the very bottom, just after the main. So let's see where that is. Where is that? I think it's right here, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I got that right. Is the indentation? Yeah. Okay. So that means in my JavaScript, I have to create a new variable called isPlaying. So in my JavaScript, in their data, let's put another one called isPlaying, and we'll set it to false initially. All right, so let's try that out. So if I refresh in Firefox, notice I don't see anything, which is good. Maybe you know what? We'll use the remember how I said about the vif and the velse? What if we use a velse in this case that will display a message, press play to begin? Back in our HTML, so underneath the vf, underneath the ending v template vf, we'll have another template. And this template will use the velse. And that's all you have to say is v-else, that's it. And then we'll put in some some stuff here. Class equals pure u1 h1 tag, and I'll just say press play to begin. There we go. So I just added some necessary CSS to make it look pretty, and then heading called press play to begin. So let's try that out. Let's go back here to our page. Let's refresh. There. So I have a press play to begin, and the music is playing in the background. So all I need to do now is if I hit the play button, I want the questions to appear, and I want the music to eventually change. So let's figure that out. Let's look for the HTML section for the play button. There it is. OK, so let's go for the play. Let's Control F, play. There it is. So here, here's my button to play. So let's add a @click equals, quote, quote. So now we get to name a function. So I'll call it begin play. Okay, so now I have to create that function called begin play inside of the JavaScript view. So inside the app.js in methods, let me just minimize some of this stuff so I don't get to see it. All right, so here I'll just say begin play, parens, function, block, and comma. So in here, for begin play, what do I want? I want to change that variable to true. So how do I access it? I say this dot is playing equals true. OK, so that's all I'm going to say for now. Let's see if it works. Just by switching the variable, I should be able to see the stuff. So refresh, press play to begin. I press play. That should change the variable. There. Cool. Right? So I press play, everything shows up. All right. Get around music. Let's try to change the music to change accordingly. So I'm going to say this. Within that begin play function, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this.begin round music. And what that'll do is I want that to determine which round of music I'll play, whether it's round 1, round 2, or round 3. So let's create that function just underneath that. Let's say begin round music, parens. Okay. And what I want to do is this is like my music manager. So notice that theme music is still playing. I want to pause that. So I'm going to say this.music.pause, right? Because this.music refers to that current music that's playing in the background. So I'm going to pause it to stop it. And now I'm going to say if this is the very beginning, then play round 1. Okay. So this is where I'm going to refer to this music file called sound round 1, which is right. So I've just uncommented this music round 1, which is getting the round 1 music. Notice also, not only did I set the volume, but I set the loop to true. So it'll keep on looping as when it reaches the end of the music file, it'll just play again from the beginning, which is what I want. Okay. So what's going to happen is the logic is within my function of begin round music, I'm going to play that. So I've stopped the current music, right? So pretend that the music that you currently hear has stopped, right? Now I'm going to play that next. Sorry. One other thing. Let me uncomment one more thing. This one right here, const sound next question. This is the one that goes right? When it's beginning of the round. I want that to play first before the round 1 music plays. So I'm trying to emulate like the real game show. Sorry, when it comes to music, I'm a little bit of a diva on that. Okay, so sound. So what I'm going to do is I've stopped the current music. I'm going to play the next question sound that goes da 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 da. And I know for you, Joel, I saw your code and you did something clever. You used the set timeout to try to get the sound to play kind of after a certain, yeah. So check this out. You could do this as well. You could say onEnded equals, and then a function. What this will do is when that music finishes or sound finishes playing, it will run whatever is in this onEnded function. So if I just say, let's switch the music to the next round of music and play it, that should work. So here's my goal. It's going to stop the current theme music. It's going to go da-da-da-da-da-da. After it hits the end of that music file, it's going to hit this onEnded and run whatever's in this code, which means it's going to now switch the music to the music round 1 and play it. That's my hope. Let's see. Refresh. And did I actually code for that to happen? I did, right? Begin play. Yeah, I did. Okay, let's try it. Then at the end of the music file, there. Now it's playing random music. Beautiful. Woohoo. Whew. All right. Next thing I want to do. Where are we at? Let's set up the speech synthesis. So now in my app.js, in my mounted, I'm going to say something like this speech synthesis. So before, as the Vue app begins to load, it will run get trivia questions to fetch the data. It will run setup speech synthesis, set up the whole speech stuff. So now we have to create a new function called setup speech synthesis. So let's do that here in the methods. Speech synthesis, comma. So inside this, well, it's basically the same code that you had before. So you could copy and paste what you had before. I'm just going to quickly type it. I'm also going to make it go slightly a bit faster. Now, last class, I said there was this ugly method where you could get voices and change the voices by saying get voices, in brackets 4. Here's the nicer, more elegant way. Find what you're looking for. I just happen to know that what I'm looking for is this particular one here. That does the same thing as the 4. Now notice I'm using this.host, so I have to create the host variable inside the data. So inside data, I'm saying host equals, what am I saying? Host equals what initially? Host equals new speech synthesis utterance. Okay, and then the final thing is I'm going to make a method called speak, or host speaks questions. So I've set it up so it should speak. All I have to do now is set the host.text to whatever string I want, and then I'll call this method to actually make it speak. So let's try that out. So methods, I'll call it like host speaks questions, whatever you want. I'm going to say this. Sometimes I've noticed during gameplay that the host keeps on talking even though I go to the next question. So I'm going to immediately cancel that in case it's still speaking. So I'm going to say speech synthesis dot cancel. So that immediately stops whatever's speaking in the background. Now here is where I'm going to make it read my question and answers. So I'm going to say this.host.text equals, and I'm going to use backticks. So it's going to be one big huge string. I'm going to use the ES6 template literal way. I'm going to refer to this.currentQ.question. So just by saying this, the text is like, it'll read the question. And then I'll put like a is it, and then a comma. And by the way, when you put in commas for the speech, it'll actually pause. Is it A? And then it'll read the next possible thing, right? Comma. Then B, same thing for B, same thing for C, and same thing for D. So I'll just copy, 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 paste, and just change A, B, C, D. And then finally, now that we've set the string to host.text, we want it to make it speak, which is one line of code. It's this one, speech synthesis dot speak this dot host, right? Because we set host.text to equal this string. We're now passing that entire host object, which contains the string, which contains the language, which contains the rate. We're passing it to speak, so it'll speak that language, it'll speak that rate, it'll speak that string, all in there. So let's try that out by invoking it somewhere. Where should we invoke it? I think we should invoke it in a couple of different places. Let's invoke it, number one, in the begin play. Remember that begin play method that we had? So let's see here. Begin play here. So begin play, I could just say this host speak cues and run it. I could say that, but I noticed during gameplay that as soon as I hit play, you'll hear that do-do-do-do-do-do, and then the music. But the problem is the voice actually starts talking during the do-do-do-do-do, and I didn't want that. I want it to pause, so I'm just going to use a set timeout here. Again, this is just all details of music, which I'm not marking for, but I tend to be a diva when it comes to music, so sorry. All right. So after 2 seconds, I want it to speak, because that's all it needs is do-do-do-do-do. That just takes 2 seconds, and then it'll speak. So I hope to invoke that as soon as I hit play. So let's try that out. Refresh. Play. Pauses 2 seconds. Perfect. And the other place I want to invoke that is within is answer correct. So in my method of is answer correct here. So if it is correct, I increase the index, but I also want it to speak the next question. And not only that, if it's correct, I want it to play that cool, like, you got it right sound. So up here in my constants, I have this thing called const sound right short. So I want to play that. So I'm going to say sound right short dot play if it's right. So right here, I'm going to say sound right short dot play. There. Let's try it out. Refresh. Play. 2 seconds. Okay. What's the correct answer? Oops. Oh right, I'm using. Where's console here? Oh, it's right here. No. Where's my console log here in Firefox? I have no idea. There. Oh. Where's my answer? Was that? Okay, let's try Amazon. Ah, you hear that? That was the sound. Now, but the music's still playing in the background. Cool. 10 more minutes. Let's see if I can fit in. So this was the bonus mark. You can make the music change based on the level or index. So if you want to try and attempt to use the bonus mark where it changes the music in the background, what you could do is within your watch, perhaps, the key press thing. Oh yeah. Sure. Let me do that because that's true. Go to key press. All right. So what I've done for key press is I just used the traditional window.addEventListener key down, which is something I taught briefly last first half. So in my mounted section, I'm going to set up the event listeners. I'm going to say something like window.addEventListener, and I'm going to listen for key down. It could be key up, whatever. And then the second parameter is what function are you going to run when that happens? So all this line is saying is that when it senses that you've pressed the key, it's going to run this function called click button. So let's create that now. So let's create that in the methods. So in the methods, let's say click button, comma. I'm going to say this. If user presses A, B, C, or D, and act as if they clicked the button. So first, I'm going to get it using the document array selector method. You can find a better way in using view, let me know. I'm going to get whatever was clicked on. Now, I have yet to insert this data key. So right now I'm saying search for a button with the attribute data key, which I have yet to type in. And it's going to have the key code and key code. So, oh, sorry, this E right there comes from this event right there. So put in the E there. Sort of like before with the, where I got the event, same thing. So let me just console log that just to see what I got. Console log key. So if I click, press a button, where's my console? Inspect, element, console, play. So I'm going to press A. A. Okay, I still have yet to have the data key. That's why. So let's go in my index. So for each button, let's put it in a key. So I'm going to put multiple cursors again, just so it's faster. Data dash key equals quote quote. So if you go to the website keycode.info, which is what a website I pointed out earlier, if you press any key on your keyboard, it'll tell you which key you're pressing in terms of its number. So A is 65, B is 66, C is 67, D is 68, right? So I could say in my data key 65, 6, 7. Now that should work if I refresh, play. I'm going to hit A in the keyboard, A. Oh, what is this? Button data key is not a valid selector. Uh-oh. What happened there? Selector. Let me just see here. Did I not do that right? Data key. Everything has a data key. Data key is the right number. Equals E.key code. What happened there? It's a log key. I don't even get it. Weird. A, B, C, D. Shoot. Not a valid selector. Why isn't it a valid selector? It's there. If I examine this, data key is right there. So why didn't it look for it? I'm looking for a button with an attribute of data dash key equals that. Oh, I'm missing. Oh, shoot. Misplacement of the ending bracket. This ending square bracket should be right there. Sorry. Let's try it again. Refresh. A. Oops. A, B, C, D. Pretty beautiful. I got it. So then all you have to say in your click button is key.click as if you're clicking it. Let's try that. Refresh. Play. So instead of me clicking on A, if I press A button, A, there, see? You lost. B, you lost. C, I won, and it went to the next question because it acted as if I clicked it. Cool? Whew. Sorry about that. And I know it was a lot, and I think I'm done. Oh, I have to shuffle the. Oh, no, we did that, right? Shuffle. Right. Select a class. Let me just do, with my 1 minute remaining, about the class. Here. In my HTML page, I'm talking about this side thing here, right here. I wanted to highlight the current level that I'm on. So what I could do, vbind, there. So what I could do is I could look inside my HTML that talks about all the v4 stuff here. So here are all my emails that and I'm using the pure CSS framework. So I could say something like this. I could say, shoot, where's my v4? There it is. So inside my v4, I'm going to say vbind class, or because it's a shortcut, I could just say class equals. I'll just put this real fast. I want the email item selected class to appear if I'm currently on that index. So where does this I come from? It'll come from here. So item comma I. Right there. So now this won't quite work. Play. Oh shoot! I need to take away the. Try that again. Refresh. There. So this isn't quite working. As you can see, it's displaying the highest level first. But if I move on, notice how it goes to the next level. So I got your infrastructure working. You just have to figure out the logic of making it go the other way. And that's all I want to say for today. 150, perfect. Yeah. The HTML or the JS? Yeah. So it's all on GitHub. It's recorded on YouTube. I know it was a lot today, but I wanted to get through it, to trudge through it in order to get to next week for the Ask the Audience, which should be fun. So next week, we'll do the Ask the Audience. And what that will do is all the audience members will go to this one PHP website that you did on AWS to select their vote. PHP will collect the votes into MySQL. And then in your code, you will fetch another PHP, which will echo the MySQL data in JSON format so that you can display the results on your page using a graph charting library. Cool? Question, Matt. Well, did you want me to? Yeah. Because the video that I was, okay, I'll say yes. Yes. Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Because what I did today was your long video, but it's yeah. So for your lab, it's 3A, 3B, 3C for assignment 2, and hand that in by Sunday. Yeah. Oh yeah. Using your own template, not my CSS email template, but using your own, yes. So 3A, 3B, 3C of assignment 2, plus a bonus if you want. for speech recognition. Yeah, so what 3A, 3B is basically the respond to click events and key press events, which I just covered. Yeah. Yeah, so all our labs and are basically this assignment. Be done. Yeah, that was my hope. Yeah, because I know it's a lot. So. Yeah. But I'm hoping you'll have fun with it and experiment and play with it. So. Thanks.